Being that this was my first trip out of the country, I had no idea what to expect. It was obviously predicted that traveling abroad would be a little bit of a culture shock. Little did I know what I would experience traveling from California to New York, then to Italy, and finally to Spain. The people of Spain live a lifestyle that is so different from that of us in America. We are so used to living in a rush, constantly going, and needing products and services as fast as we can get them. For the most part, we also aspire to own lots of land with a huge house, away from friends and neighbors, and drive the nicest, most expensive luxury cars. In Spain, the mindset couldn't be more different. Everyone wants to be centrally located while taking the metro and other public transportation options as their way around the city. Families stay together and kids choose to stay home as long as they possibly can, which partially explains Spain's unemployment rate of 17.8%, with roughly 40% of these people being recent college graduates or young adults ranging in age from 22 to 25. During our 4 business visits, it was apparent that there are many different views within the business community of Spain, especially revolving around those who want Catalonia to secede from the rest of the country. They feel as though their language, Catalan, known as a Romance language, is not accepted and also underappreciated. They also feel that they are not given enough credit for their nearly 20% contribution to the country's GDP. Anyone looking to do business within the country of Spain needs to be ready for relaxed practices, followed by a strong belief in their country's economy. There is also a wide variety in the differences between how citizens view the current status of Spain. During our visit to the Diplocat, we learned that they believe that Catalonia is in a state of growth, while our speaker from Exante Merchant Bankers, to an extent, believed just the opposite. As another major part of the Spanish culture, we visited both the stadiums that are home to FC Barcelona and the Real Madrid football teams. The love and passion for the game that the people of Spain, both in history and in the present day, have for the game is incredible. Another cultural aspect of Spain that pretty much speaks for itself is bullfighting. Bullfighting is still legal in Madrid, so we were able to attend one during our stay. It was extremely interesting to see such a large number of people come together to in some ways celebrate this bullfight, just as if Americans would treat going to a baseball game. It was definitely something to see, but nothing that I need to see again. In Barcelona, we went to one of the most highly recommended restaurants for tapas, located just 2 blocks outside of Catalunya Square. We waited over an hour to get a table and were then given a time limit on how long we were allowed to be in the restaurant, which was to be somewhat expected since we arrived around 8 p.m. The hostess told us that we would have only an hour and a half to complete our meal. Upon sitting down, we weren't served drinks for roughly 20 minutes, and by the end of the meal, we realized that Tony, our extremely entertaining waiter, had let us stay there for almost 3 hours. We then asked him to split the check, and he looked at us like we were crazy. Ciudad Condal set the scene for many of our dining experiences in Spain. More often than not, we were sitting at a table for upwards of a half hour between finishing our meal and getting the check. Service was significantly slow compared to that of an American restaurant, and we didn't even bother asking to have the check split after a while. Barcelona restaurants were usually open throughout the entire day, not closing for a siesta. Once we got to Madrid, we had to plan more carefully for dinner, being that restaurants didn't open back up for dinner until around 7 or 8 after their siesta. We had dinner our second to last night in Madrid at Botín Restaurant, the oldest restaurant in the world. It was here that we were exposed to a gourmet traditional Spanish dinner. When we arrived, the restaurant was packed, and we were greeted by waiters, musicians, and fellow travelers and Spaniards joining us for the 10:30 dinner time. The impromptu flamenco dance moves really prepared us for what was to come the next night. It went a little something like this. Now for the serious stuff. Upon arriving to our hotel, I was shocked to see how small the rooms were for how much we were paying. However, I had to look at the location and proximity to all of the main attractions around the heart of Plaza Catalunya. When I first arrived in Barcelona 5 days earlier with family, we stayed right outside of the airport, having to take the red line of the metro for approximately 15 to 20 minutes in order to get into the heart of the city. As you can see, our room at this hotel, the NH Collection Barcelona Tower, was significantly bigger than the ones we stayed in at the Grupo Hotel Gravina. At the Barcelona Tower, we paid €140 per night versus the €200 per night average rate at Grupo Hotel Gravina. Like I previously mentioned, we have to take into account the area in which the hotel is located and also the economy of the city that it's located in. The NH Collection Barcelona Tower is located directly off of the freeway, right across the street from the Belvetege University Hospital, the designated metro stop, and some other smaller commercial buildings. Grupo Togrevina, on the other hand, is located only 2 blocks over from La Rambla, which is a world-famous street filled with shops, tourists, and entertainment, which leads pedestrians from the city center to La Barceloneta, which is the beach city of Barcelona. It makes sense that there would be a higher charge for someone to stay here in the middle of the city compared to more on the outskirts. Even though it was nice to have a bigger room with an amazing city view, it was extremely convenient to be seconds away from the city center. Another place that I ran into a great example of purchasing power parity was Starbucks. In Barcelona, I only visited one Starbucks, and it was a quick trip, so I didn't pay attention to how much I was paying. However, when I got to Madrid, it made me think. My regular drink is a venti green iced tea unsweetened. At home in Valencia, California, I'm a regular at the Starbucks around the corner. The day I got back from Spain, I paid them a visit and paid $2.85 for my usual, or €2.50. Whereas a few days prior in Madrid, I paid €3.50, which converts to roughly $3.99. Starbucks is headquartered in Seattle, Washington, so it makes sense that products and services of the brand would be more expensive abroad. Spain also does not house a customer care center or support center designated for their country. This is something that the Starbucks Corporation strives to implement in its most successful countries. This could in turn be another explanation for the higher coffee prices. If Starbucks becomes more of a popular commodity in Spain, like it is in the US, we could see price changes, but this would be very difficult in order to compete with the cultural mom-and-pop shops all over Europe that residents prefer to go to. All in all, I want to say thank you so much to Dr. Rodriguez, Dean Mueller, and all my cool new friends for making my first experience abroad one to remember.